I am here today with Sahil Khosla, software engineer turned digital creator, a Notion enthusiast and expert. That's just a short summary. Sahil, perhaps you could introduce yourself better than I can.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me today. I think that was a good introduction. Yeah, as you mentioned, I've been a software engineer for more than 10 years at this point. That's where I've been trained in. But recently, I took a different sort of route and decided to uh, become, quote unquote, a digital creator. That obviously, as you know, that it comes with many different angles and aspects. It's not only about creating content; it's a lot more than that. But I really enjoy it. As a software engineer, you always have a maker attitude. You're always building things. But I wanted to sort of step out of that world and build even more things that may or may not require, your coding experience. So yeah, so I think as a digital creator, you get to learn a lot, and I'm a lifelong learner. So here I am on this path.
Yeah, we're on a very similar path. We talked about that pre-recording as well. Obviously, I'm also a digital creator of sorts, so we find ourselves in a very similar position with also a similar passion for tech, albeit
Definitely.
in a bit of a different direction. For me,
Right.
it's productivity. For you, it is no code, which I'm definitely interested in learning more about. But there's also
Yeah.
significant overlap, which we'll get into in a bit. What is no code? How would you explain that to people who've never
Yeah.
heard of it?
Yeah. So yeah, it's funny because no code is a bit of a misnomer. Like
Mm,
because if you like even go on Google and type, sometimes the results that you will get will be, you might not get what you're looking for because no code could like mean many different things. But as a definition, how I explain it to people is in this particular context about building applications and building websites. No code is essentially a way of building these things, apps and websites, in a visual way, and basically you're replacing something that traditionally you would have done by writing code, right? So you had a problem, you want to solve it, and to solve that problem, you either need an app or a website. And traditionally, you would have written code for it, but now you do it without code, and that's essentially no code in a nutshell. Obviously, it's also a little bit of a marketing term, but I like it because some people are really about it doesn't make any sense. I think it's good because it is giving it an identity. It is giving it, something to sort of club all the tools together under one umbrella. And over time, people will get familiar with exactly what it means. And when I mention the word no code, they will know exactly, what I'm talking about. So I think right now there might be a little bit of a confusion, but at the end of the day, it's, again, about solving problems in a visual way.
interesting, because in the end, that just sounds like the definition of software to me to a degree. Because in the end, any interaction with a computer to perform a certain task, there is code running to make that happen. And when
Hmm.
computers first came out, we had to literally talk to computers in their language. We had to write
Right,
code for pretty much any interaction. But slowly but surely, everything became more visual. Like
right.
Windows, Mac OS are obvious examples, and pretty much any software I feel like meets that definition. And it sounds like no code, like you said, bit of a misnomer, but more in the sense that it just helps people understand, I guess, what is still seen as something you require code for to do. There is now an alternative visual way.
Exactly.
So that
Exactly.
probably also means what falls under the no code umbrella will continuously evolve. Perhaps right now, website builders are a perfect fit with the no code umbrella, but in 5 years
Mhm.
from now, when it's become the norm, it will no longer really be an adequate way of addressing them. How do you? What are your thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
no, absolutely, and
Mm,
and that's what I say. Like I even like get into this argument sometimes that why are these people called no-code developers who are using no-code tools? I think we should just call them software developers. The only difference is that instead of writing code, they're using it in a different. They're building software in a different way, in a visual
right.
way. At the end of the day, we are developing software. So if you go back many years, as you said, right, even to do something simple on the computer, people had to write very low-level code like assembly language or something like that. But then over time, it evolved into higher level languages like Java, and now we're getting into this next phase where we're going a step further and making it very, very visual. But behind the scenes, you are still at at the end, you're going to end up with, machine level instruction that goes, that the computer has to run. So it's just a visual way of building software, and a step, a step in the right direction and evolution from, as we have been evolving. This is just that next step, and it'll only continue to get stronger. It'll only continue to grow. And what that means is it will also bring in more people to be able to develop software. And that has happened throughout the history of computers. Like, as we went from that giant computer in one room to personal computers at home to your phones, the number of people getting involved in building these applications has increased. And this is just that next step in that evolution.
Very cool. Yeah, it's making it so accessible. And I think it's also important to stress that when you say it enables you to build software in a visual way, that doesn't only mean it has to be a complicated application with lots of features. It can be something as simple as a personal meal planner, or I believe you've also built a travel planner with Notion, just to name a few examples. It can be super niche down, right?
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of it, that you no longer have to rely on a third-party application to, well, you still need some kind of an application in the middle there, but you don't necessarily have to look for something that fits your needs exactly. You can find something that gives you the framework to build something that you need. So Notion being a perfect example, it gives you the framework, it gives you the building blocks, and then in a visual way, you can kind of drag and drop and move things around and add a couple of formulas and add a table and kind of build something that works for exactly your system. And guess what? What works for you might actually work for hundreds of other people. And that we have seen with Notion templates. You build a template and you think you've solved a personal problem, but then you put it out there, and then so many people are interested in using it because they have the exact same problem. So that's what it comes down to. And also, we don't even have to go as far as Notion. Another great example that I like to use is the Apple Shortcuts app on your iOS devices. The amount of things you can build directly on that is insane. To give you a couple of examples, I built a tip calculator. So I could go to the App Store and download a tip calculator, right? But using Apple Shortcuts, I just built it directly on my phone. And now I have a single tap I can click and I get, a pop-up and it works. Or I was finding myself going to check currency conversion all the time. So I would go to Google and type $1 to $1 whatever. It's like, oh, I do this every time. So I just built a mini utility using Apple Shortcuts. And now I just click the button and it gives me a pop-up with what I need. So as small as that is, essentially I'm building something in a visual way without writing any code.
Right. Those are really cool examples there. And I like what you said about, hey, this is not just for me. If I find this useful, then out of the 5 billion internet users out there, there is going to be
at least a few people
that will also benefit from it. So it's really democratizes digital creation. And like you said, you're a digital creator, and I try to be one as well. And that's the beauty of it. It's accessible to create things that help other people. And if everybody does that, we're helping each other at a massive scale. You do have actual coding expertise, right? You didn't jump into this when no code existed. So how did you make that shift from being used to looking at the terminal, writing the code, testing the code, etc., all the things you do as a quote unquote true developer, and how did you make that change into no code?
So I've been writing code since I was 14, and started just writing straight up HTML in a Microsoft Notepad. That was the first one for me, and I still write code almost every day. It's not like I don't see code and no code as mutually exclusive. There's a time and place for both. Sometimes I just want to do something quick, like write a script, and I would just like pull up my IDE and just get it done. Or JavaScript is my favorite language, and I still do. And I teach actually JavaScript courses as well. So for me, they're not mutually exclusive. For me, I always say that engineers, or the best engineers, know to pick the right tool for the job, right? I see it as another sort of addition to my tool belt, to my skill set in no code. And to give you an example, like I wanted to build a personal website. Now I could have, started from scratch and write HTML, write CSS, put some JavaScript, include a few libraries, then push it to a server. And, I could have gone that route. But I knew that there's an alternative route that's going to get me there much faster. So I use another tool called Software to build my personal website, because I knew like what I need, that tool can do, and it'll save me a lot of time. So I just did that. But now let's say I want to build an app. I can either pull up a no-code tool and see if it can do it, or if I really want, I can do it in React or something like that. So I have these options, and I just pick whichever one is the right one for the job. And yeah, just to answer the question about transition, it actually happened at work. So at my previous job, a person in the IT department had purchased a license to a low-code tool, actually. And he just sort of floated one day that for this upcoming project, he just purchased a license for some internal stuff for IT. But he mentioned that we have access to the software, and I might find it interesting. I don't know, maybe he saw something in me and he thought that I might be a good person to try it out, maybe because of my LinkedIn post or whatever. And I said, sure, I'll take a look. And I was pretty skeptical. I was like, I mean, this tool won't be able to do what I do in code. I started playing. And next thing you know, I was able to do the whole project using this one tool. And this project was pretty complicated, which required syncing the data between like 3 different platforms and then bringing it to the front end. And I was completely blown away how far I was able to go with that single tool. And that was a light bulb moment for me that, okay, this is no longer your for your hobby projects or no longer for fun things. It's actually real, and it's going to be, I knew that it's going to be the future. I knew right away that it's going to unlock doors. It's going to unlock opportunities for many people. And that's when I doubled down on it. And I decided to go on a 30-day challenge. I called it a 30 days of no code on LinkedIn. And I decided to go find 30 different tools and use them and build something with them and share what I've learned. And that became a hit. Like people really followed that journey, and then the rest is history. And ever since, I'm learning new tools every day.
Cool. Well, I'm certainly one of those followers. So at the end of this conversation, we'll make sure people have a way to find you online, so they can also start following you. What interests me a lot about what you said here is not just that it's really matured in a way that it enables you to do what previously you thought only was possible through code. That is proving itself with every new tool that comes up that you can build, like you've said. What surprises me, though, a bit is how it also can be a faster way to get the job done than with code. You see, I've worked in tech for just short of 10 years. I've never been a developer myself, but being around them all the time, you obviously pick things up. Often they've told me directly or indirectly that they really prefer to do things through the terminal as opposed to tools that do the job with a visual overlay. Now, my specific background is in WordPress, WordPress hosting as well. And WordPress has a visual overlay for just about anything you want, including making changes to the database, etc. But they've always stuck to the terminal because in their experience, it is faster. So my question is, do you believe that no code, or let's say visual development, will really take over everything eventually? Or are there also things that will always stay terminal first, so to speak?
So there are multiple parts to that question. So let me answer this last one first. So no, it will not overtake your traditional development. Just like we still have, someone still has to build the hardware. Just because we are now very software focused doesn't mean that hardware has gone away. You still have to design the chips, build the chips. It still runs your code. Someone has to write the low-level code, which is to run your computer, and then on top of that, we write with high-level languages applications that the end users use. And then on top of that, now we're building things with no code. So code will always be there. Developers will continue to do their job. I think the nature of their job will change in the long run. Just like initially, the computer scientists were very few, and they were considered to be, like the most sought after professionals. And over time, their job morphed into doing more research about technology and doing more research about what could be the practical application. Well, actually, they don't even think about the practical application. They just go do research and see what's possible, and then they share with the world, and then people take it and then try to monetize to use that technology to build something that the consumers can use, right? So I think over time, the software, your traditional software developers who are really well versed at code will start to build these applications that are used by the general population to build applications for their personal use, right? So I think it'll just start to morph into, and this will be a long transition. Like this is not, we're not talking like 1 year, 2 year, not even 5 years, maybe even longer. But we're definitely moving in that direction. Code will not go away. Just the nature of what you do with code will change and evolve.
I feel like a good analogy is IKEA, which provides pre-built uh, materials
Component.
for you to
Mhm.
easily assemble your furniture. But obviously, there's still a lot of back-end work going into those
Exactly.
templates,
Someone
so to
still has
speak.
to design. Someone still has
Yeah,
to design the
right.
furniture. Someone still has to create the components for it and then share the components with you. So that's one example, which is more like templated version, right?
Yeah,
Or there could be another version where it's more open-ended, where
sure.
you go into a Lego store,
Yeah, I was
instead of
going to
buying the
say Lego.
box, yeah, instead of buying the box, you're buying the individual parts, and then you're going to decide what you're going to build with it and how you're going to do it. So there's going to be both ends of the spectrum for sure.
Cool. One of the most famous no-code tools that took the world by storm a couple of years ago is Notion, and it is also one of your favorite tools. How
Mhm.
did you get into Notion, and how does it serve you?
Yeah, so yeah, great question. So actually, I had noticed Notion a couple of years ago, and that is around the same time when I noticed the term no code for the first time. Um, for Notion, I thought it's another note-taking tool, and for no code, I thought it's just a made-up word. There's no such thing. I just dismissed it. Typical software engineer sort of reaction that,
Hmm,
I mean, you can do stuff with no code. uh, so so yeah, I actually created a Notion account. I looked around. I was like, okay, it's just another Evernote or a fancier version, perhaps, but I'm not going to really use it. So I dismissed it. And what happened during my 30 days of no code challenge, when was becoming more familiar with the because that was my goal, to learn more about no code and really dive deep. As I was diving deeper, I came across a lot of Notion creators, and I came across a lot of Notion templates, and it completely blew my mind. I had no idea what was possible in Notion because I dismissed it as another note-taking tool. And maybe it was their marketing, or maybe it was how they onboard you when you first create the account. They didn't really introduce me to, or maybe they didn't even think that these things were possible, because
hmm.
you give people the blocks and they will go build stuff that you had never imagined. Uh, and that's when I realized, okay, it is definitely not a note-taking tool. It is way more. There's way more to it than I thought previously. So uh, so I decided to go for another challenge. I said I am going to dive deep into Notion and learn everything about it and try to build a system. And I was, at the same time, I was also, it was, I think, around the New Year's, when people are refreshing their systems and thinking about their goals. And I saw one problem where my things were scattered all over the place. So I used learning Notion and updating my system and getting ready for the new year as a project. And I built my whole and I transitioned from 5 different tools into Notion, and that was essentially Life OS, which came out later as Life OS. Because again, I built something that works for me, and I thought other people might benefit from it as well, so I templated it, and and yeah, I was completely blown away. And the reason again is that it gives you the blocks, and then rest is up to your imagination. What do you want to do with it?
Very cool. That's also how I've approached Notion at first. I thought mostly note taking, and then I was honestly pretty intimidated almost by
Yeah,
how extremely flexible it actually is, and
right.
people have built the most unimaginable things all on Notion, complete websites, complete applications, and the list goes on. But what you just mentioned at the end there is something and I think many people watching will be super interested in, which is the Live OS, the Live
Mhm,
operating system. It is
mhm.
a template that you've published for Notion that people can use in order to manage their life,
Yep.
everything like their projects, of course, and their tasks, but probably a lot more too. So, could we have a demonstration of what it is and how it works?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, like, It's a system that worked for me and resonated with a few other people. But the idea is that, and with all templates, I see it this way, that you take the template and then sort of make it your own. And
Right.
so that's the same thing I would say here, that it's like a starting point. It gives you a direction as to how things could be organized. But beyond that, it's really up to you how you sort of modify it and make it your own. But yeah, happy to show you the setup. What we have here is, as you can see, it's the homepage. It's the Life OS sort of homepage, and this is and on the left, as you can see, I have for this. This is the template, but I have my personal sort of setup here as well. If I were to click on this page, I would see my version of this homepage, and essentially, this is my starting point every day. Like when and actually I've also updated my Chrome browser to when I open a new tab, it takes me directly to the homepage of my LifeOS system. And so this really is my sort of starting point. It's like a dashboard. It gives me an overview of everything I need to know, and it also links into other pages within my setup. So here at the top, where it says value 1, value 2, is essentially the idea the users will replace it by their own personal values so that they're up and center. As soon as you start your day, you are reminded of your personal values. It warms you up for the day as you take decision. You keep your values
Yeah,
in
it
mind.
seems like a really powerful reinforcement mechanism there. Like if one of your values is honesty, and
Mhm.
like it's staring you in the face multiple times a
Exactly.
day, then it's
Exactly.
gonna be extra powerful to really identify with it, so to speak.
Exactly. It's just a way to reinforce and remind, and every time you
Mm.
come to this page, they're up and right in the up there. And then yeah, I just decided to add a little clock. It gives this nice and calming feeling about the day. And then there's a few links that I'll jump into in a sec. But essentially, these are the things that I use more frequently. So I decided to add the links here. And then similar to values, I also added a section for goals. So these are your, what I call, or not me personally, but these are known as the BHAGs, the big, hairy, audacious goals for the year. So the idea was, as I was starting 2022, that I will add my top 3 goals here. And again, similar to values, these are right in my face almost, so that I'm always reminded of that whatever I am doing, is it adding up to these goals or not. So again, an idea to reinforce and remind of your sort of vision. And then over here on the right is a sort of a habits tracker. And I'll get into the details of this as well. But essentially, this is a view of a habits tracker, which is behind this page. And this is just for today. So as you can see, it says July 15th. So this is only for, as I'm on my dashboard, I can check off, when I come, oh, I've already journaled, I already did my workout. So I can go about my day and then, take these off. And then in the detailed view, you can see how you're doing over time. And then a couple other things on the dashboard. I have a to-do section. So this is, again, so dashboard is a specific view of all the details things behind these links. This is just as the word dashboard suggests, that it's a high-level view. So for example, for to-dos, it will show you only the to-dos that are either overdue or due today, so that you don't need to keep your entire to-do list open for the entire day. You just stay on the dashboard and it'll just tell you this is what you're focusing on today, and then forget about everything else. If you need to go and update, then you can always go to the to-do page and add more details. But this will only give you what you have to work on today. And then last but not the least, here I also have a just more for aesthetics. I like seeing what I'm reading right now, so it'll only show you your currently reading books. And again, a reminder that this is something that's you're currently reading. So that's the dashboard. But I think it'll be nice to sort of jump into behind the scenes for each of these individual things. What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will also just say I like how this is designed and that you're able to embed other pages of Notion into this main hub, so to speak. That is something that very few built for life management or project management tools have. I guess that's why, because many of them are kind of zoomed in on one functionality, whereas
Right.
this, as the name suggests, is really a overview of your life. What is the
Exactly.
desired direction? Are you moving into that direction? I like it a lot. But yes, let's
Yeah.
go into the specifics. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So let's start with the journal page. And for this, I used to use another tool called Journey. Um, and again, I had to pay for the subscription for that tool. So I decided to bring it into Notion so that I can get rid of, almost like declutter my digital sort of
Yeah.
presence.
Yeah.
So let's go into the journal page. So here, what you get, and again, like I have instructions on all the pages for how to use it, but what you get is sort of a journal entry page. And if you click on the new tab here, it'll give you two options. It's either because some people like to journal in the morning and some people do it at night. And you can pick from the template, or you can do both, up to you. But once you click on the template, it will create this new page, and it comes with a pre-populated sort of prompts. So usually I just come in here and say in the morning, whatever I'm feeling, like what does this day represent for me? I'll say, a renewed energy, or whatever comes to my mind. The first thing that comes to my mind in the morning, I just give it a unique name. And then in the intentions so these are journaling prompts, and people can, what are their intentions for the day, what's happening today. Usually it's recommended that you write a couple of things you're grateful for. And then the thought section is just free flowing and all the thoughts that are coming through your head. So that's a great way to journal. But what's interesting and what I really like to brag about this setup, which is unique, is what happens is when I am journaling, a lot of to-do tasks just come to me in the morning. This is what I need to do today. This is what I need to do today. This is what I need to do today, or this is what I need to get to. So what I've done is I've embedded the a way to add your to-do items directly within the journal. So as they're coming to you, you don't have to jump to the to-do page to add them. You just add them right here. So let's say, I'm going through my journaling and something comes to me, reply to the email from X, Y, and Z, right? Just came to me. So I'm just gonna add it here, and that's it. And then I'll show you where this ends up.
I see. Okay. This becomes a task that is due today automatically?
So this will go to the tasks in the triage section, where
Okay.
then you can, from there, you can triage and decide and
I
add the
see.
details. So here I wanted to keep it very simple, that just dump the task and don't worry about anything else, so that
Yep.
the task is out of your head and in the page, and then don't worry about anything else. So this is how you can, so this is what you do in the morning, sort of go through it. And then this, it also allows you to, like for me, it's important that I rate myself on how disciplined I am, and how what I'm feeling in terms of mood. So you can select that, and then you exit out, and then it shows up over here. And as you can see, over time, you can see how your mood is trending or whatever, and how disciplined you have been. So it gives you an overview of that. And then similar thing for night. If you do it at night, what I like to do is just ask myself a few questions. How did the day go? What can I do better? All that good stuff. And then at the bottom is also a chance to kind of check off your habits, like what all did you do today? And again, this is that same box that appears on the homepage, that appears here, and that appears in the habits. So it's all connected, and it just shows up at the right time in the right context. So that's the night.
You mentioned how it is a template, of course.
Mhm.
Am I able to edit pretty much everything we just saw? For example, the questions you ask yourself during your midnight journal?
Absolutely. Yeah. So
Right.
if we go back to the homepage, here it says, start by duplicating. So you basically, when you get the template, you duplicate it. And once you duplicate it, it shows up in your private Notion space. It'll show up like this.
Yeah.
And then it's unique to you, and you can feel free to edit anything in it, and it'll be just unique to you. To edit, for example, this specifically, what you do is you go here and click on these three little dots, and it says edit this template. So let's say I wanted to change this from intentions to do, or something like that. And then when I save this, it says, you're editing a template in journal. When I save this and I create a new morning entry the next time, instead of intention, it'll say to do.
Oh yeah, cool.
So yeah, so you can do that as for sure. Let me just delete this as well, and change it back to intentions here. It's actually a live product. People download it. Okay, yeah. So that was journal. So let's get into the habits. So as you can see on the habits page, let me go back here. So let's say when I was on my dashboard, I already checked off journal and workout. Those are the first two things I do in the morning. And if I ever go into the habits page, you'll see like those two things are already checked off because it's all linked. And you can also see, instead of, if you want to see how your week is going, you can see the whole week view. So it'll show you, I think it shows you plus and minus 7 days. So you can see on July 15th. But obviously, if you're using it every day, you will see more checks here. Or you can see in a gallery view as well, which shows up like this. So you can see, you can visualize how your days are looking. And go back to today. And then on the right, what you can do is you can actually create a chart to see, because if you notice, if I click on this, it shows me a status here, and this shows a completion percentage. So if I complete everything, all 6 habits, is say 100%, and goes to a green check. So it's just a visual or like a numeric way. And that same thing you can plot on this graph by day. And for that, I recommend using this third-party tool called Notion Charts. And I have the full instructions here, how to go and connect it. But once it's connected, following these instructions, a chart will appear here that shows you, how often or it just shows you the percentage of habits completed on a daily basis.
Cool.
So that's the.
So once you've set that up, all you need to do is mark it complete when you've done it, and it does the job.
It does
the
rest.
Itself. Yeah.
Yeah, it does the rest. You just check them off here or on the habits page. Doesn't matter. Everything else is all automated.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's the habits page, and then let's get into the to do page, which is also pretty exciting. So first thing to note here is that you have a lot of tables, but these are not different tables. It's all coming from a single database, and that is under, I have a data section. So all the data that is required to run Life OS is in the data page. And so whether it be your habits tracker, whether it be your projects, whether it be your tasks, whatever, everything is in a backend database. And if I go to the task table, here you will see all your tasks. It doesn't matter if they're done or not, doesn't matter what category, it will show you everything because it's literally your source of truth. But on the actual to-do page that you use on a daily basis, it is split into an inbox, an overdue column, a due today column, and an upcoming column, and then finally a done column. So remember when we were journaling, we added a task called reply to the email from XYZ. Guess where it showed up?
In the inbox. Yeah, that makes sense.
In the inbox. And now you can triage it. So you can say, and by context, I mean, it could mean many different things, but essentially the idea was, can I do this on my phone? So I'll select phone so that if I'm out and about, I can check off the tasks that are on my phone.
I like that. Is that influenced from GTD by any chance?
It is GTD. That is correct.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And then you can priority like high, medium, low. You can select a due date. Let's say it's due tomorrow. I don't have to do it today. And then finally, you select a project that task belongs to. And then projects, of course, are driven from another database, which I just showed, which is the projects database. And all it has is a list of projects and with a simple status: in progress, done, or backlog.
Right.
So this is a nice way to organize your tasks. And then let me go back. And what happens is, as soon as I assign it a task, so I'm going to say work, it disappears from the inbox. It's gone because it's now triaged.
It's been clarified at this point. Yeah.
At this point, it's been clarified, so it'll show up at the right time on the right day. So when I'm in my work mode, I click on work and see if there's anything due today. Nothing due, great. If I want to see like what's upcoming, so I will go to work and upcoming, and it'll show me all the things that are due, in the next week or so, and so on and so forth. And then overdue is just things that the due date is past today. So the idea is that you can either look at all of the tasks, or you can split between work or personal based on how you have prioritized them. And then again, this is one of those things that you can really personalize. That do you want to just see all the tasks all the time, or do you split your work and personal stuff?
Right.
For us solopreneurs, it's now we do all the things kind of combined. It's not really a difference between work and personal anymore.
I do context first, just because of that reason. It is all so scattered when it comes to the project or focus area it might be related to. So I just go context first. It keeps me sane.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So everyone has a different system, and then they can really personalize it. So that's the to do. So as you said, this was inspired by a little bit GTD, a little bit bullet journaling, a little bit Todoist, because I was a long time Todoist user. So this overdue, due today, and upcoming is inspired by Todoist.
Yeah.
And then so it's really nice and simple. I have a mobile view essentially of all the tasks that are due today, so that if I'm out and about, I can see.
I see. So that's one of the tweaks you've made to the template to make it your own. You were able to create a mobile first kind of view, which perhaps has less details, but still contains the same data. You didn't have to create a separate table or whatever.
No, it was just a view of the due today,
Cool.
more like a list view than a table view, so that's easier to browse on a phone.
Cool. Well, I love that that is all possible, and I like the inspiration from Todoist. I've used it for a few years as well. It's was an amazing tool. I've since moved over to TickTick, which to me is Todoist on steroids, but that's another discussion. Anyway, I love seeing how you've sampled it, so to speak, but you didn't. You also sampled other things and made it something new. It's super creative. I like the Pomodoro tracker as well. Is that a fully functioning timer?
Yeah, you can click on start here if you have the screen up here, and then also just above it, I have a. So let's say it's Friday today. So what I'd like to do is, because my personal goal is to do like 8 Pomodoros every day, like 4 hours of deep work. So right here, you can check off how many Pomos you have done today. So, and then again, you can also go into, maybe we can go from, let's see. Essentially, you can go to the Pomodoro page and see your, similar to habits, you can see how you have done over time, like how many Pomos are you completing every day. Again, it's for people who really like to self-quantify. It's a great way to sort of track that, and just remind you again, like that your goal is to do X number of Pomodoros every day, and it's like right there.
Yeah.
And then you have several links that you can jump into. I also added a quick add task. So because using Notion on phone can sometimes be a little different than the desktop experience. So I created a page specifically for, and I show people how they can do it on their phone. So, they can bookmark this page and then just use it to quickly add new tasks from their mobile devices, and they end up in the inbox. So that's an option as well.
That's so good. That is so important, if not the most important thing for me, at least, is to be able to get out of my head wherever and whenever. So I also have my phone obviously with me all the time, like most people, but I've designed it in a way that I can just press one button and add a new thoughts or task, whatever comes up, into my tool. And I love how you thought about that for this setup as well. That's really good.
Yeah, definitely. So that was definitely needed.
Yeah.
And then we have a few more things. Like I have a notes page, which is simple. Anytime you have something that you want to note down, you just click on new and it creates a new note. And finally, I have a travel planner, which was someone requested. They said, "Hey, how can life be complete without travel? Travel should definitely be part of the Life OS." So it was a feature request, and so I added that as well. And this is also pretty cool because you click on a create new trip, and it'll create a new it'll start essentially a new destination page. So it'll create a page similar to this. And essentially what you have here is you can use this to fully plan your travel, your itinerary. It gives you sort of a packing list of things, because every time I go on a trip, I have to think about, oh, what do I need to pack? So the idea here was that it comes pre-populated with all the things that you might need. So you can just check them off, what you things to do, and any notes you want to take. So you can use this to fully plan your travel. I have an advanced version of this that I sell separately as a Notion travel planner, which is even cooler because you can what you can do is you can just add different things that you want to do there and then attach them to a day in the itinerary. So it's all connected, so that when you are on the trip, you can just click on that day and it'll show you everything you need to do on that day. So it's a little bit more advanced version of this, but this one also like gets people at least started for their travel. And what's cool is because if you go to this page, over time you will start to see all your trips and you can go back and refer to them. Because when we plan our trips, we do it in such a scattered way, then it's very hard to go back and refer to what we did, or if your friend asked for recommendations, or what restaurant you went to and stuff like that. This way you can go back and revisit and then have all the things in one place. And if you have a really close friend, you can just share this page with them and see, hey, this is exactly what I did on this trip. Go ahead and make it your own.
Would they need to use Notion in order to view the page?
No, not really. Like you can just view, you can just publish this as a web page from here. And
I
then,
see it has a unique link already. You don't need you don't need your own domain either.
Nope, nothing. They can view it as a web page, or you can always export it as a PDF and send them as a PDF. So yeah, there's many options.
Very cool.
So yeah, here's an example of a book tracker. So essentially, every time you have a new book, you can read it, or you can add it here, and then you can sort of, if you clip it from Amazon using the Notion web clipper, it actually creates the cover automatically. So over time, this becomes a cool library of books that you're reading, and it shows you what you've already read. And then also within that, you can take, you can take some notes as to what you captured from that book, an overview, what are the 3 highlights. So you can go back and kind of check in with that as well. So yeah, so that's a book tracker that I forgot to show. But again, a very a visual way to do things and then customize it, because I don't think when they were building Notion, they thought that people would use it in this sense. But again, people are creative and they come with ideas. So I think book tracker is one of those. Yeah, so that's sort of Life OS at a high level. Would love to hear what people think, and if this is useful or any other features that I'm sure people always have ideas as to what else could be part of it. Some people requested finance tracking, but that gets a little bit more complicated. So I didn't add that here because it's very hard to generalize how someone would track finances. But I'm sure there's ways. So yeah, so that's Life OS in a nutshell.
Very cool. It certainly looks very useful to me, and not to toot my own horn here too much, but I know a thing or two about project to-do management, life management, because I've reviewed dozens of tools around them, and this looks very holistic. That's how I would summarize it. That's what I like about it, how holistic it is. It's not just there for managing to-dos or notes. It's the whole thing combined in a way that makes sense. I can see that you really put thought into it. I also love the values being so visibly present there at the top, because that's like your guiding principle. That's where it all comes from. That's what you want to check in with first. And I feel like it can really get you centered and prevent you from getting lost in the day-to-day. So I really love how you executed on that. So this is a template that people can purchase. It's called the Life OS. We will leave the link in the description for people to find it, and they just need to follow the instructions on that page to implement it in their own Notion setup.
Absolutely. I've given instructions on every page, how to get started, then read. Pretty detailed actually, but yeah, there's all the instructions available.
I would say for anyone watching and using Notion, leave a comment down below. What would you like to see added to the Life OS? I'm sure Sahil can build it and implement it, because this looks like it's an ever-evolving setup for Notion as well. And like I said, the link to get it will be shared in the description, as will your other links to find you and reach out to you, which leaves me with my last question, which is, where can people find you? And besides the Live OS, what can they reach out to you for?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn and Twitter every single day. I post every day either a how-to or different tools that I've been playing with, or how or some productivity tips. So yeah, it's all about sort of self-improvement in a nutshell, and upskilling from a tech perspective. So yeah, LinkedIn and Twitter at Sahil Khosla. We leave a link. And then also, if you have any questions about getting started with no code, I also teach a course, which again, we can share the link to. And then I also sell Notion templates that I've built over the time, and would love for you to check it out.
Cool. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Sahil.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Lucas. It was great.